That I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Therefore, please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications. And now I hand it over to Carl.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our August Boston Disability Commission meeting. Tonight, we are very excited because we have a lot of new members who have just been sworn in and joining our committee, and it'll be a chance to get to know everybody. So we're going to start with introductions, but I just want to reiterate some of the communication access rules that Jessica mentioned a minute ago. Whenever you talk, please announce yourself by name so that everybody, one, because there's a lot of new faces, and two, for the purposes of communication access. And secondly, when you want to be noted, please raise your hand and you'll be called upon. Okay? All right. So we're going to start with introductions. And what I'd like you to do is something a little different tonight. State your name, maybe what you do for a living, something a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to join the Disability Commission so we can get to know you a little bit. So I'll start. My name is Carl Richardson. I am from Brighton, Massachusetts. I am currently the State House ADA coordinator for the State House. And I joined this committee 9 years ago, even before Commissioner McCosh was the commissioner. And I was just excited to try to make a place where I live more accessible to people of all abilities, particularly myself as a blind person. One of the things I was excited about is curb, tactile warning strips, and audible pedestrian signals and things like that. And to my left.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Krista McCosh. I'm the Disability Commissioner and ADA Title II Coordinator for the City of Boston. I'm actually not on the board, but I oversee the board. As advisory board members, you will make recommendations to me, and I will bring your issues to the administration, that is Mayor Walsh and other city officials. So I look forward to welcoming your input and helping shape accessibility in Boston. I've been the commissioner for almost 8 years, and we've got a lot of great work done, but I'm looking forward, like I said, to a lot more input, and hopefully we'll have a really active and engaged board. So congratulations to you all and welcome.
The Christians left.
Good evening. My name is Yardley Sanchez. I work for the Health and Human Services Cabinet as Executive Assistant. Why I wanted to join the commission was to advocate for the inclusion and integration of people with disabilities.
This is Dusia Lvovskaya. Dusia for short. I live in Boston and I am on the Disability Commission. I work as a personal care attendant, and since recently I'm also invited to speak at various events. And I'm autistic, and I am on this board because I want to help. Educate and also help with the inclusion of autistics and other disabilities in the community. Thank you.
Next.
Thanks. Hello. I'm Elizabeth Dienklauer. I live in Back Bay, Boston. Sure. Elizabeth Dienklauer. I'm a public health physician by training. I have an adjunct position at Tufts Medical School. I am a newer resident to Boston. I moved in December of last year. I had served on the Disability Commission in Cambridge for 6 years, but certainly the scope and breadth of what happens in Boston, both at the commission level and in the community, is at a different scale, and I'm really looking forward to actively participating in your efforts and bringing some new initiatives as well.
Next.
Hi, I'm Zari Amir Hosseini, and I work as the Disability Program Manager at Mass General Hospital. I've been at this commission for, I would say, about 5 years, and I live in South Boston, which is not the most accessible place in Florida. But definitely, I can see the efforts being made to the commission, and I joined because I'm very passionate about hearing what the community issues are and being involved working in a hospital. Obviously, my interest is creating a more accessible environment in healthcare for everyone. So that's why I joined.
Hi, I'm Olivia Richard. I am a disability rights activist, both with the Boston Center for Independent Living and ADAPT. And the reason that I decided to ask to join the board is because I've always worked on the outside of the system, and it's time to make some change inside the system. So that's why I decided to join.
And where are you from, Olivia?
Sorry, I'm from Brighton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Carlos Ramirez Tapia. I'm currently working in the Department of Public Health as a project coordinator. I'm very interested in all things related to data analysis, so I'm hoping I can contribute in ways how we can integrate data to integrate more people into an accessible system. I'm very thrilled to be here. I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to learning from everyone and contributing the best I can with my abilities. I'm also looking forward to meeting every one of you.
Hello, I am Wesley. I'm speaking through a video interpreter. I'd asked for male voice, but anyway. So I work for oncology company, biotechnology, and medical equipment company. The office is up north of Boston, and I live here in the Boston area with my wife. I'm recently married, about 11 months, and we live at the North End. So I'm looking forward to being part of being involved with the Disability Commission and hoping that it'll make it better for the city of Boston for people with disabilities. Thank you.
And I'm Jerry Boyd. I'm from West Roxbury, and I work for the Social Security Administration. And I've been a disability rights advocate for, as long as I can remember, for, at least 28 years or so professionally. And, before that, in a non-professional capacity. And I joined the advisory board about a year ago mainly to kind of what Olivia said, to kind of see what working in terms of advocating inside the system as opposed to outside the system, and just to learn more about city governance and things like that.
Thank you. I'm very excited about working with all of you. So, and it's nice to have a full commission, and hopefully we'll be productive moving forward. Next, we'd like to vote on the July minute for the last meeting we had. Do I hear any motion?
I move to approve the July minutes.
Jerry moved to approve. Any second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Carry it. Minute approved. Next, we have a presentation from the organization called Exceptional Lives. and Ms. Ricky Myers will be presenting.
All right. Hi, everyone, and congratulations on joining the commission. Is this working okay? Okay. My name is Ricky Meyer, and I am the Director of Policy and Legal Operations for Exceptional Lives, and I'm here to tell you more about what we do, and I will make sure to save some time at the end for questions. So I'm going to start out with a short caption video to give you an introduction.
When you learn that your child has a disability or chronic illness, it's the beginning of a journey filled with a constant need for information and support. But we know that finding the relevant information can be frustrating and leave you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and isolated. That's why we're here. Exceptional Lives leads you to the resources and action steps tailored specifically to your needs. We start with a few questions about your child and your specific needs. Then we take you directly to the resources you need and walk you through the processes you need to do. You can even call us for help. It's quick, easy, and efficient. All our information is constantly updated and written by experts in plain, simple language. Visit exceptionallives.org or call 1-844-354-1212 and start your own free personalized guide or resource list today.
Okay, so that video was a brief introduction to Exceptional Lives, and now I'm going to dig a little deeper and tell you more about what we do.
Rights. We're a charity.
So to begin, who are we? Exceptional Lives provides information for families who have children with disabilities on how to access services and resources and explain the processes in a way they understand. We work to improve the lives of caregivers and their children by meeting them where they are, reducing stress by providing accurate, vetted, and easy-to-understand information, and supporting parents and caregivers with knowledge so they can more effectively advocate for their children.
Including large national charities, regional charities.
When we created Exceptional Lives, we identified a problem that we wanted to solve. Parents and caregivers of children with disabilities are often unaware of the services and benefits available to help them. They often don't know whether their child qualifies or how to apply, and current resources are too complicated.
It is our role to consult with our members on their views and experiences of children's rights in Scotland.
Thank you. Okay, so on the screen there are two images that I want to explain. The first is a mom who is typing into a search engine, imagine Google, and she types in the word autism, and something like 94 million results come up. So many parents who have a child with a disability can identify with a search like this, often in the middle of the night when it's their only time to start doing research because their children are asleep. And the second image on the screen is a very text-heavy screen that you might pull up online that doesn't have any images, it's just text, and it's very hard to sift through. So our goal is to help families to connect to services. We empower families by providing trustworthy, easy-to-follow information. We promote self-help by providing tools to find resources and take action. There's an image on the screen that shows a family in the center of 4 boxes, and that's how we see ourselves as an organization, at the center of medical care, education, government benefits, and social support. So the first piece of what we do is what we call personalized how-to guides. So when a family is looking for information, they need information that's specific to their own needs and to their child's needs. So when someone visits Exceptional Lives website, they answer questions about their child's needs. Using the software that we have behind the system, we present only information that is relative to that unique situation. After a parent or family member or caregiver answers a few questions, they will receive step-by-step instructions that explain how to navigate each process. All of our information is accessible online 24/7 and is written at the 6th grade reading level, and everything is also free. I wanted to provide a list of the guide topics we cover so you can get an idea of the information we provide. So I'm just going to read through the list that appears on the screen. What to do when you think your child may be different, early intervention, special education, health insurance, SSI benefits, transition to adulthood, employment for prospective employees, employment for employers, and guardianship. In all of the resources that we create, we use health literacy principles throughout. So these include plain language and design, family engagement with interactive software, small chunks of need-to-know facts and action steps, help with new terminology and web navigation, and everything is also tested with the intended audience. So now I'm going to go into a little more detail about what I just listed off. So interaction with software refers to what I mentioned previously about families answering questions to engage with the software and really be part of it, rather than just having something on a screen that they can't interact with. So the answers generate information personalized to that particular user. And on the screen is an example of one of the questions that you might find in a guide. It says, how old is your child? And then there are 3 options, multiple choice options. One says under 3, one says 3 to 5 years old, or over 5 but not yet in kindergarten, and the third says over 5 and enrolled in school. So the next piece I mentioned before about health literacy principles is small chunks of information and the option to learn more. So information appears in need-to-know facts and action steps. And then if you want to learn more, you always have the option to read in more detail. So on the screen, I have an image of what, if you're in a guide, what you can click on to get more information. So there's green text that has a flag next to it. And on the screen, the 2 that I have up there are what is a developmental delay and who qualifies for early intervention. So if you click on one of those buttons, a pop-up screen will come up with more information on that topic. So for help with new terminology, new terms are underlined in a different color. Families can click on the term for a short definition, and there are always instructions in our guides and any of our resources on how to find a new tab for an external link. So the image that I have on the screen is the word accommodations underlined, and then a pop-up box that says accommodations with a short definition that says a change in the way the class works to help your child learn more easily. So this is a definition that would appear in the special education guide. Next is the focus on action steps. So for example, who to call and how to apply. In each guide, on the left-hand side of the screen is a checklist, and that really ties into the title of every screen you'll see as you go through the guide. So if someone really just wanted a checklist of the steps to go through, they could print out that list on the left-hand side and bring that with them to a meeting or to a doctor's appointment and have that with them. And the second example of action steps that we have in a guide, I have another image on the screen that says, here's what you can do. 1, identify your areas of concern. What aspects of the school day is your child having trouble with? 2, talk to your child's teacher or principal about your concerns. So now I'm going to go through some sample guide pages so you can get a better sense of how they look, and I'm also going to describe how they look on the screen. So the first one that I pulled up is a sample guide page that's called Identifying Concerns, and it has action steps similar to the ones I just read off. So I'm going to read what it says on the screen. Identify your concerns and connect with your local school system. The first step is to talk with the special education department in your local school system. And then there's an infographic that shows a mom with a thought bubble with some questions that might come to mind, and also reiterating the action steps that I said on the prior screen. I also want to point out on the screen there's a chat box in the bottom right, and I'll get to that later, but I just want to point out right now that it's there. So on the next screen, I have an image from the guide on a screen that's called Prepare for an IEP Meeting. So on this screen, as you're going through the special education guide, this will give you more information on things you can do ahead of time as you head into a meeting, which is often very worrisome for parents, especially those who haven't gone before or who are at a new school or have moved from out of state. So this walks you through the steps and really is a way to make you feel more prepared before you head to that meeting. And we also have, as another feature in the guides, a place where you can download forms. So here you can download a blank IEP form, look at it, and get a sense of what the school is going to be talking about at that meeting. As I mentioned before, there are also options to learn more than what's on the first screen that's presented. And these are the additional pieces of information. So on this screen, the foundation of this screen is the prepare for the IEP meeting from the prior slide, but this one now has a pop-up of who's on the IEP team. So this is, again, a pop-up box. You can always click on the X in the upper right-hand corner if you don't want it, but it gives you more information than what is presented on that first screen. And one more thing I wanted to feature, this is, again, from the special education guide. This is an image of it's a screenshot that shows language accessibility. So we reiterate in our guide several times that parents have a right to get information in their native language. So on this screen, there's a green box that says exactly that, and this graphic appears on the card about how to get an evaluation to see if your child qualifies for special education services. And again, these are just sample screens from the special education guide, but they give you a sense of what you can find in all of the other guides as well. So the second piece of what we do is a resource directory. You can search by zip code and over 50 filters. The resource directory includes visual mapping, directions, and printing capabilities. We also have descriptions for each entry written in plain language, and our resource directory entries are constantly reviewed by exceptionalized data specialists to ensure they're accurate. And as of just a few months ago, our resource directory is also available in Spanish. So I want to go through a sample search so you can get a sense of how the resource directory works. So when you go to the tab that says Resource Directory, you'll have the option to choose between English and Spanish. And the first thing that pops up is a place for you to enter your zip code. So I entered the zip code of Boston City Hall because that's where we are right now. And you have the option to choose different mile radius from where you are, and that will determine the results that you get. So for this sample, I typed in the zip code here, and I chose 5 miles. Now, the next screen that shows up will have all of your filters on, or your search options on the left-hand side of the screen. So you'll select your category, and the appropriate results will appear in the middle column. And then on the right column, you have a map for visual mapping. So when you hover over a result, the location point in the map will tell you the address and show you where it's located. As I mentioned before, there are over 50 filters to choose from in the service category. These include types of therapy, such as ABA or speech therapy, medical and clinical services, education and employment, adult programs and services, parent and caregiver support, legal, and social and recreational activities. And we also have a way that you can search for providers that accept Medicaid. So once you click on one of those results that comes up, you get a description, you get the address, the website, contact information. You can go directly to their website, and you also have the option to print or email this search to yourself or to someone else. And last but not least, the third feature that we offer is an expert helpline. So we have free expert support that's available via text, email, chat, and phone. So that chat icon that I mentioned early on, that goes to someone who's live at your computer, and we always guarantee a response to your question within 1 business day. So you can contact us by phone or text at 844-354-1212. And I always like to close presentations with testimonials from parents so you can get a sense of how people actually use what we provide. And I'm going to read these out loud. So the first one says, after years of online searches, this is the first site we've used that has gotten us somewhere. It really feels like I am 2 years ahead of where I thought I would be with this process today. The second testimonial says, learned things I did not know after 27 years of living this experience. The third testimonial says, the step-by-step guides give you just the information you need in plain language. It's just what families in our world need. And the fourth testimonial says, all the information I need is in one place. Thank you very much for having me and letting me share information about Exceptional Lives. I have on the screen my name and my email address, and I will read out my email address for the recording. It's ricki.meyer@exceptionallives.org, and I'll spell that out as well. EXCEPTIONALLIVES.org. Thank you, and I would welcome any questions that you have.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Myers? If so, raise your hand.
I have a question.
Okay, Jerry?
It's Jerry. Where are you located, and how would somebody access your services?
Sure. So we are located right by the Government Center parking lot in downtown Boston, and you can access all of our services online at ma.exceptionallives.org. Thank you.
This is Carl. I have a question. Your interactive software and guide, is that screen reader friendly for the blind and visually impaired?
Yes, everything, all of the images have alt text, and everything should be friendly, yes.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yes. Here's Ducia. I have a question. Hopefully my question will make sense. I have some friends who reach out who have issues, have these issues like IEP and other issues with their kids in school. So I apologize if my question doesn't make much sense. But I know the most parents, when they suspect something, they usually go to their doctor to get a referral. So is it that these parents, when they look at your website, they can get this information and either go to their school of their child or just go to the doctor and say, this is the information I have, and I think this relates to my child, so can you help me? Is that how this information can be used? Thank you.
Sure. So we do not diagnose anything. We are not doctors, and we have a disclaimer that says all of that, which I'm glad you raised that point, so thank you. So if a parent thinks that something might be going on with their child, we would recommend that they visit the guide that says what to do if you think your child is different. And again, there's no diagnosis information in there, but it provides information about developmental delay and milestones and other things that parents might want to be thinking of.
Any other questions? This is Carl. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, could you clarify, I know you said some of the materials were available in English and Spanish, but then when it said language accessibility, are there other options for if people need a different language?
Sure. So right now, all of our guides are available in English, and our resource directory is available in English and Spanish. We hope that we can translate all of the guides in the future. That's something that we would really like to do. The example I gave about language accessibility pertains specifically to IEP meetings and dealings with the school. So that was just an image from the special education guide. That wasn't about our actual services.
That is the example I had in mind, though. If there are people from other cultural backgrounds, who speak other languages and specifically need assistance for the IEP meeting, how to prepare for it, is there a way that they could, if not that you have all those translated, but how would they have access to that information in another language, such as Vietnamese or one that's very, very different from English or Spanish?
Sure. So everything in their meetings with the school, that's what should be translated into their native language. From our from what we provide, again, it's only in English. If they work with a translator, or if someone from the school mentions the resource, then hopefully they would have someone on hand to walk them through the resource. But we don't have the capacity right now to provide all of our resources in every language. We wish we could.
Yes. No, I just wanted to know what would be the steps, how they would bridge that.
Yeah, I would suggest trying to work with the school or one of their service providers who's fluent in their native language.
Okay, thank you.
Juan Carlos has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Juan.
Hi, this is Juan Ramirez. I have two questions. The first question is, this is a very interesting platform, but I would like to know a little more. For example, I think, how often the information inside is updated, so parents or anyone who wants to access it have the most current information available there. And the other part is, for example, if there is any other person that wants to provide a service. You provided an example of, for example, the AT, right, for assistive technology. But if there is any person that thinks, I have like this service that I want to provide and help other people, can they post something directly in your platform, or this platform needs to be, anyone who wants to register to this platform has to be already registered with someone else where the information is pulled from?
Thank you for the question. So all of the entries in the resource directory are updated quarterly, and there is somewhere on the directory, it's on the screen, and it says, if you have a comment or you see something that's not listed, please contact us, and you can enter it right into the screen. And we have a vetting process that goes on behind the scenes, so we want to make sure that the provider really is providing everything they say on their website. So we have team members who go through that whole vetting process before anything is added to the directory, but there's a quarterly review process as well. Thank you.
Olivia, go ahead.
Do you have any resources for self-advocates?
That's a great question. We do have some really dispersed throughout different guides. So the Transition to Adulthood Guide has several, as well as the Supported Living and Housing Guide, and the Employment Guide is really geared for people who are looking for jobs. So you don't need a parent to be going through that guide for you. What's in there, someone can do on their own. And for people who are in the workforce already, the guide for employers on how to create a disability-friendly workplace is something that they can always share with the higher-ups or their bosses as well. Thank you for the question.
This is Carl. Do we have any questions from the public?
We have one more question around the table.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go
two
ahead.
more.
Hi, this is Yardley. How's the Exceptional Lives engage in the community to build awareness to the services that you provide?
That's a great question. Thank you. So we have focus groups before we release any of the information we have. So everything goes through parents and professionals and an expert in the relevant government agency that pertains to that topic. So that's one piece of it. And we are also always out speaking to groups, attending community fairs, really any events that are going on, we try to be there. So if any of you encounter any that you think we should be at, please contact me and we will do our best to be there.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Wes speaking to the same female interpreter. My question is, how do you make presentation on social media or social media? How do you present that way?
The question was, how do we present on social media? So we have an active Facebook page. So I encourage everyone to check that out. And we really are focusing only on Facebook at the moment. We've used Twitter in the past, but Facebook is our top priority right now. We encourage everyone to engage with us on that platform as well.
Okay, so for a follow-up question,
Go ahead.
when you post on Facebook, are you enlarging the words so that people are able to read it easily?
That's a great question. I'm not sure, but I can follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Sorry, the interpreter ended. Sorry about that.
Are there any other questions from any committee members? If not, are there any other questions from the public? Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Myers.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have on the agenda the Chair's report. I don't really have a lot to say other than The Massachusetts Commission for the Blind will be getting a new commissioner as of Monday, the 27th, and David D'Arcangelo, who was formerly the director of the Mass Office on Disability, will be assuming the role of the new commissioner for the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. Also, the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf, Commissioner Heidi Reed, will be stepping down in January, I believe. So they will be starting a search for a new commissioner for the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf. So if you know anybody who's interested, have them get in touch with the Secretary's Office at Health and Human Services. And that's all I have from the chair's report. Next is Commissioner McCosh's report.
Thank you, Carl. And again, I'd like to welcome all the new members to our meeting tonight. I wanted to let you know that there is one other new appointee who was unable to make it today. He was on vacation. His name is Paul Karen, and he works at the BDPA. We also have 3 other board members who are out tonight. That is John Winsky, Felicia Battles Birdsong, and Kyle Robideau. So you'll get to meet them all next month. And I will be sharing everybody's contact information with each other so that you'll have that. Please let me know if you'd like to use your work or your personal contact information to share with the board. I'd like to welcome you to this new space. We used to meet in the BDPA boardroom up on the 9th floor, but we moved to this room to accommodate our growing board of 13 members. And for those of you who haven't been in this space before, I want to let you know that this was an accessibility project. The City Council chamber was historically very inaccessible, but we worked with the Public Facilities Department and the City Council to renovate the whole chamber. So now we have an accessible testimony area with the podiums. We have access to the council floor, and we have accessible viewing areas and captions on all city council meetings. So we're happy to be in, and there's a hearing loop. Thank you, Carl. So we're happy to be in this space, and we welcome you all to join us every month, and we're really glad that you're here. So for my report tonight, I want to give everybody just a brief overview of what my office does, so you'll know how we can work together moving forward. Currently, I have 6 staff. I am the commissioner. I have a staff support specialist, a chief of staff, 2 architectural access specialist and coordinator, and an outreach and engagement specialist. So they're all people who are usually come to the meetings, and you'll get to know them, and hopefully you'll be able to work with them moving forward. My main role for the city is I'm the ADA Title II coordinator, so it's my role to ensure that all city programs, policies, meetings, and buildings are accessible for people with disabilities. My architectural team reviews access and new developments and on projects in the public right-of-way, as well as other city buildings. And thanks to all their hard work, we have spaces like this. We also have outreach and engagement, we provide services, and we provide information and referral. But the main focus of our work is systemic access, and what I mean by that is we work with other city departments to increase access inclusion throughout the city through their work. We work closely with the Public Works Commission, the Boston Transportation Department, Parks and Recreation, Public Health Commission, and of course the Mayor's Office. And this is where you come in. Your role really as appointees of Mayor Walsh is to inform me of the issues in your community, the issues related to people with your accessibility needs, and to raise issues of importance. Tell us what's working and what's not working. Because now you have a direct line to the city administration through me and my staff, and you also can be part of official records. You can do things like vote to write letters, vote to take a position, write a position statement. You can review architectural access projects in the city and make comments that will become part of the official record. So with your appointment comes some responsibility and some opportunity to really change the face of accessibility in Boston. So we hope that you will take it seriously and really engage us and bring some new energy, new ideas, new thoughts, and really tell us about the issues of concern in your community, your disability community, and your neighborhood. One note I want to make, just some housekeeping notes, is that no individuals can speak on behalf of the board, but you can always say that you're a member of the board. Also, in your handouts, there is information about the bylaws of the board. We'd like you to read that over and just make sure we pay attention to those bylaws. There's also information about the open meeting law. All board meetings are open meetings, open to the public. We'll take minutes that will become the official record, and these meetings are televised on TV and live online with captions. Also, you will all be required to take the state ethics test and conflict of interest test, and I believe the city clerk may have told you about those things, and we can follow up with you about that. Some things that I'm planning to do with the board are some trainings, an ADA training, maybe a retreat of some kind for a few hours on an afternoon. We'll also look at board elections over the next few months. The board bylaws call for a chairperson, a vice chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer. So start thinking about if you want to serve in an official position or if you want to nominate someone to serve in an official position. And the meeting formats every month will include a brief presentation by a city department so you can get to know what the different departments do, an overview of an architectural access project. We'll really focus on the big projects that are going to have a big impact, like the Boston Garden Gateway project, things like the L Street Power Plant, really big projects in downtown and in the neighborhoods that are going to have a large impact on the city and people with disabilities. And then we will also have a brief presentation from a disability organization like Exceptional Lives tonight. So we really encourage you to attend all the meetings. Let us know if you have agenda items you'd like to put on the agenda. Eventually, when we have a permanent chairperson, you'll be able to contact the chairperson who will be making the agenda. And other than that, we wish you a very successful term. You're all sworn in for 3-year terms, and we hope they'll be very fruitful and that we'll get a lot of work done together. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have Patricia Mendez from the Architectural Access Division.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, new members. I'm excited to start this new chapter and look forward to working and getting to know you better. My name is Patricia Mendez. I'm the Architectural Access Specialist, and I'm going to list a few projects that we worked on for the last month. The first one is the Ruggles Street reconstruction, and I would also like to announce that for this reconstruction project, there's a public meeting tomorrow night, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. at the DeWitt Community Center in Roxbury. The address is 122 DeWitt Drive. So tomorrow is one of the public meetings when there is an opportunity to review the project. Public Works will present the design, and there's an opportunity for discussion. And Winston has been kind enough to distribute the information to help promote in Twitter. The other thing I'd like to mention, I'm very proud that our commission hosted students from the Boston Architectural College. There is a program that is the Design for Human Health program. This class came last month and visited, and Sarah and Commissioner gave them an overview of the work that we do here in the city. Next is the Boston Arts Academy project. This is a large reconstruction of the Boston Arts Academy School, and we've met with the project a few times, and the last time we met, it was about final comments regarding the sidewalk reconstruction, some pedestrian crossings, and accessible parking. We've also been working with the Elderly Commission to include age-in-place language in our formal accessibility review for Article 80 projects. and we continue to work with the Elderly Commission on that. Another exciting thing that we collaborated in is the compact living policy. We worked with the Mayor Housing Innovation Lab, and they are in the process of developing the policy about compact living. And this policy is a list of guidelines aimed to new development that promotes sharing common spaces and providing small footprint, making the living units more affordable. We have invited Marcy to come and present to the board in the upcoming months. So, same thing, going back to the Ruggles Street, we also invited Public Works to come and present to this board in upcoming months. And lastly, we've been continuing to collaborate with our state agencies, with the Commission for the Blind, and with state elevator inspection chief and resolving complaints. And that's it for me, unless you have questions. Any questions, anyone?
No? Ducia, go ahead.
Here's Ducia. Hey, what again is the address?
For the Ruggles Street reconstruction public meeting, it's on Thursday, and the address is 122 DeWitt Drive in Roxbury.
What was that? I'm sorry.
122 DeWitt Drive.
Oh, DeWitt.
DeWitt Community Center in Roxbury.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Patricia? And one of the hopes is that...
Olivia has a question. Olivia.
Okay, go ahead.
When you're talking about compact living, are you talking about like the pods that you would see in Japan, or are we talking about tiny houses?
No, we're not talking about tiny houses. We're talking about smaller footprint than the usual development. We are making sure that this smaller footprint do not compromise accessibility. Where these units save on space, it's because they promote sharing of common spaces. That's where they trim the square footage.
So almost like a rooming house type thing, or?
The guidelines are very general,
Okay.
so I'll make some suspense for Marcy to come and present. So it's coming up.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
So as the board get to know each other and we get ramped up, I also hope that we set up a procedure that architectural variances will be shared with us so we can put our opinion on whether they should be accepted or denied, and that also the drawings and the schematics of these places so that the board can offer their input moving forward. Any other questions for Ms. Mendez? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Next, we have old business items. Is there any old business that we need to address?
Jessica.
Hi, Carl. Just wanted to give you an update. A couple months ago, the board had made a vote when the Boston Breakers came to present in regards to Boston Center for Youth and Family and adaptive sports within the city of Boston. And I apologize, our office hasn't been able to write that letter, so I apologize to the board for that. But Jerry and I have agreed as of today that Jerry and I will be writing the letter together, so we'll make sure that that is available for the whole board to see prior to the next meeting. And for the new board members who were not here for that. The Boston Breakers came, or representatives from the Boston Breakers, the adaptive soccer team, came and advocated for more adaptive sports and different adaptive sports in Boston. And specifically, we're interested in hearing what the Boston Center for Youth and Family are doing related to adaptive sports. So the board voted to write a letter to the Boston Center for Youth and Family, inquiring as to what they were doing about adaptive sports, and inviting them to come and present to the board and discuss what they were doing and possible other options for additional recreation. So that letter will be written by Jerry and I, and we'll have it to you in preparation for the next month's meeting. Oh, Zari's got a question.
Jessica, this is Zari. My question is, the letter is going to where again?
This is Jessica. The letter is going to the Boston Center for Youth and Family. So it's a city department under Health and Human Services that we work closely with in our cabinet. And they handle the community centers and a lot of the adaptive sports on behalf of the city. And so that's specifically why we were writing to them.
Have you ever considered reaching out to health centers or like gyms and, you know, I think there is a lot of areas where they have classes for individuals to participate in different activities, and I wonder how accessible they are. And I wonder if we can do something in that area, reaching out to health clubs.
That's a really great suggestion and question. I don't believe in the past that our office has looked into health clubs and recreational centers that are outside of Boston Center for Youth and Family, separate from specific agencies such as Spalding or Adaptive Rec Boston that do adaptive sports. But we will we'll look into that for you, absolutely.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just had a comment. I know that that was one of the goals of the presentation that the Breakers came. One of the questions they had was what else was available in terms of sports opportunities. So that's why one of the reasons why we are outreaching to that agency to see, you know, maybe that would spark, you know, they could tell us what other resources are available in the city currently. So.
So this is Carl, we look forward to having that letter before the September meeting for the board to approve. Any other old business items? If not, what was that?
I don't see.
Okay. If not, we'll move on to new business items, and this is the chance for the new committee members to perhaps ask the commission to look at certain priorities that they may wish to address.
Olivia has a question or a comment. Go ahead, Olivia.
I'm wondering if there's any work being done around the dockless mobility vehicles that are like the Ant Cycles, Lime Bikes, the scooters and things that are different from the blue bikes, where the blue bikes have a home. These just kind of are disposed wherever they may land. And I'm just wondering if the Department of Transportation or the Boston Transportation Department or the Disabilities Commission are putting anything in to make sure that they don't land in accessible infrastructure and that there are consequences if they do.
I can respond to that. Thank you for the question. This is Kristen McCosh. So we do work closely with the Transportation Department, and they have a bike specialist, a Department of Bikes, Boston Bikes, and my architectural team works closely with them. Right now, the dockless bikes do not have permission to be in the city, but I believe Boston, along with Cambridge and Somerville, they are confronting these issues with dockless bikes being found on the sidewalk. I haven't heard that it's been a huge problem in Boston yet. That being said, it is only the beginning, and I believe the city knows they have to work with these companies. So we will definitely keep you updated when we hear anything. I do know that our bike specialist is working to update the BTD rules and regulations on definitions of different two-wheeled vehicles, because you have things like scooters, you have bikes, bicycles, motorcycles, mopeds, and the language hasn't always been clear in the regulations. So we hope with the clarity of language that will be able to help people understand the rules, because there are different rules for different types of two-wheeled vehicles. So that should be happening soon, and it's definitely on our radar, the dockless bikes. So do not fear that we're not aware of it and working on it. And I don't really have any information to announce at this point, but we will keep you updated.
Thank you.
Elizabeth has a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Wesley.
Yes, regarding transportation options, paratransit options for people with disabilities, and particularly with some emphasis on people who need wheelchair-accessible vehicles given the scarcity. Is there a way, I know Kristen has been very actively trying to work on some different modalities, but I think we're still in a problem of persistent scarcity, and even with the curbside taxis, my concern, using myself as an example, is I really could only test that system for a voluntary errand, because anything that's either a business meeting, a medical appointment, something important, isn't something I could chance with the access or not, the availability of such a vehicle. And I didn't know if we're trying to gather data. I think even with Uber and Lyft, that although they have made some continued attempts to improve service, and with Uber more recently saying there's been purchase of additional vehicles, but as a day-to-day experience, there's still, even during, say, routine afternoon hours, there's literally no one available at times. So I just didn't know the status or how we're monitoring or collecting.
So this is Kristen again. I would just say that we're aware of these issues too, and it's an ongoing issue that we work on. We work with the Boston Police Department, who oversees the WAVE taxi cabs, wheelchair accessible vehicles. We have 100 WAVEs in the city, about 50 of which are ADA compliant at this point. That being said, as we all know, the transportation landscape is rapidly changing. It's changed dramatically even in the last 3 or 4 years with the advent of Uber and Lyft and ride sharing and technology. So we have worked very closely with Uber and with the WAVE cabs. It's definitely not a great system. We know that, and we continue to work on it, and we would appreciate, input from the board. This is something you could take a position on, write a letter about, and feel free, you can always request that we have somebody come in and talk about the issues. We can look at that too. We can have someone from Bikes come at some point too.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we should, so Olivia mentioned the dockless bikes, and you mentioned the accessibility of wheelchair vehicles. I'm wondering, is that something that we would like to see some presentations on, so that perhaps we could take a position moving forward?
Yes. I think it would be a good idea.
So Commissioner McCosh, this is Carl. I'm asking you to maybe in the future meetings have maybe one presentation 1 month on the dockless bicycles and another one on wheelchair access vehicles options in the city of Boston.
Yes, I can schedule that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Juan.
Hi, this is Juan. I think I just wanted to add into this opportunity that there is going to be a presentation, maybe since it's related to transportation, also the plans or precautions that can be taken care of during winter times, because it's coming very soon. Maybe just for the new members that we're not familiar with the efforts that are already being taken care for the winter, but maybe we can learn like an update from that, and we can give some feedback with issues related to winter transportation, curbs, things like that.
Yes, we can schedule that as well.
Great. So we have a few things to look forward to and potentially work on.
Wesley has a comment.
Go ahead, Wesley.
I'm so glad that I have a male interpreter finally here with us. And I have a question about the technology today. The phone apps that we have that we can use, that we could improve for people with disabilities in the city of Boston. It's a simple thing to be able to use that app. It's just, in general, something we could improve, I think.
Yes, that's a huge emerging technology. Apps. I know the city is looking at more and more apps. We do meet with them on a regular basis to discuss accessibility. But that being said, I feel like I haven't checked in on them recently. So that's a really great reminder. I appreciate that. And sometimes the city even is looking for users to test the accessibility of different apps and different computer programs. I know Carl has done some focus groups and some testing. So it would be great if board members want to volunteer for those types of tests moving forward too. But I can check in on the apps, and again, that may be another great presentation to have somebody from our Department of Innovation and Technology come to talk about apps. Great suggestion.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Who? No. Okay. Any public input? If so, make your way up to the podium. Yeah. You don't have no questions from anybody in the audience? Okay, great. Any motions to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Any seconds? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes carry it. Thank you for a good meeting. See you all next month in September.